Hello, everybody. Today we are going live with Women Inspiring Network with Roma. Roma Narsinghani has been an accessory and a very known fashion designer. Her jewelry is very, very artisanal, and I can already see Roma here. So while Roma is joining us, she studied at St. Martin's and has worked
Hello.
with designers. Hello, Roma. Thank you for joining us at the Women Inspiring Network today. And
How are
I
you
was
doing?
good, good. And I was just telling our viewers what a great journey Women Inspiring Network has had since lockdown. In a short span of 5 months, we've got a 10 million reach. As you know, you could not be part of the series
Yeah,
with IIT, which was sustainability, fashion, and tech. But of course, you'll throw some light on that today. And we have currently our Winning Mind series going on Facebook, which is with leading authors. So we've had, yesterday we had Rupa Pai. Before that, we had Nainika Mehtani, who'd written the screenplay for the movie Shakuntala Devi. And that series is also doing extremely well with award-winning authors. And we've also obviously done a film series with partnership with Inox and Business World, which got us like a really great reach on social media, and 100 positive videos of voices of women across India during lockdown. So it's been a great journey, and everybody's stories are inspiring us each day. So Roma, I'm going to ask you to tell us about your journey and throw some light a bit on your education, where you've been, how you decided to start your label. So please tell us a bit about that.
for sure. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm so sorry I missed the earlier session, and it looks so good. And everything that you guys are doing is absolutely amazing. And now about me. I mean, I've been working in the space of fashion for the past 10 years now, a little over 10 years, which went from, I mean, I grew up in Kuwait, then went to London to study. I was at Central St. Martin's, moved back to India, worked here as a merchandising consultant. And I wanted to study more. So I traveled to Italy and I did my master's there. After that, I was back again. I mean, Bombay is sort of become home now. Sorry, that's my dog. She's a little noisy.
That's
She
okay.
might bark in the middle. um, and once I came back, I started sort of, I mean, sustainability was a subject that I was always interested in. I actually did my thesis that in my master's on this sort of idea of an app for barter. And that time there wasn't much talk about sustainability. So once I came back to India, I wanted to explore a little more when I started making jewelry pieces of my own. It was not really to sell, it was not for anyone, they were just for me. And it just happened. So I was working on a project in Delhi at Fashion Week, and I got spotted. And for the way we launched our jewelry brand was just through a collaboration, in fact, with my own personal pieces. So it was an organic start, the way it happened. I mean, it's a passion project for me, and it still is. And it's been interesting. This year, we've launched a new company called Future Collective. That's with Vidyun Singh, Arman Aluwalia, which is a platform for conscious design and conscious living.
Wow.
And this year's anyway has been a year of transformation. So I mean, the journey is still continuing and ever evolving. With
Yeah.
the as fashion changes, we're also kind of pivoting and changing and working.
Yeah, but it's also been the year where we've all sort of re-strategized, re-looked at doing things.
Absolutely.
And I guess that was also needed because we were all so busy, and a lot of great things have come out of it.
Totally.
I know you've been participating in digital fashion weeks, and you're one of the first few ones to participate in the International Fashion Week. So tell us a bit about your experience with the Helsinki Fashion Week and on the Digital Fashion Week. So what you've been doing. I know you've won some awards also. So please
Thank you.
throw some light on that.
So I think the way I looked at fashion and technology, I mean, technology has been a part of fashion for many years now. And I think the pandemic kind of just fast-tracked everything. In fact, for me, I think it's inspiring and astounding to see the constant development of tech and how it's carving us into this efficient, creative future, hopefully, you know. So the decision of even taking up a project like Helsinki Fashion Week at a time when everything was shut down, We started working on the project in May. In April is when we signed the contract, and we started working on it in May. What I realized is that I was in Goa. I had team members placed all over the place. We had to let our artisans go home. So, and I was like, this could be a really good time to experiment and relearn and unlearn and, restart what we're doing. And so it was an experimental project, honestly, for me. And it was not just to extend into a digital collection, but also to expand into other spheres like virtual campaigns, take it to Instagram filters. Because what one has to understand about 3D is that once you have your 3D model, the product model, then you can place it beautifully in so many different settings.
Yeah.
So it was an eye opener. It came with its own challenges and benefits, obviously, but it was super exciting to work with Helsinki on this. It was a bit strange because every time we do Fashion Week here or anywhere, which is a physical one, before your show, there's a lot of hustle bustle. There's lots going on. There's backstage. There's all of that. But when it comes to digital fashion week, all of that is taken away. You're really prepped. It's like you're pressing play, right? Because all that work is done over the months, and the digital video is created beforehand as well, and then it's up for viewing if it's not live. Because Helsinki Fashion Week was a 3D show. What we're seeing in India right now is a digital show, both as exciting as the other.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I have to say, I really do not like the word digital. I don't think that makes sense for me. I think it's digital. What Helsinki was purely 3D. It was done through CGI. It was a completely different model, and it was really really exciting to work on it. It took we had to because we were not working offline. We had to convert all of that online. So my pieces were being made, 3D models were being made in house, but we were looking at it on a Zoom screen and directing it and using apps like Trello or project management apps like Google Drive. It's a whole new system of using digital, trying to prepare for a fashion week, say. Your fittings are taken out. Fittings were done by Adhiraj Singh, who we collaborated with. He worked with us for one collaborative piece, and also he helped us. Once we have the 3D models ready, they have to be placed on these models for the show. So he helped us do the fitting of it. So I'm just trying to explain it to you like that in terms of to say how it's
Wow.
offline and online. So there is a clear distinction of what went on behind the scenes. Normally, when we have a show here, it is you have to have a set, you're calling models are being flown down, there's crew, there's all that carbon footprints that's generated as well with people, everyone coming together. In this case, all of that was taken away. And if we think about even digital models, say, it's they don't a digital avatar has those other points in for the pan for a post-COVID world. I think it's an interesting one to look at because if you can't physically be present, you still have an option to
Yeah.
showcase your collection in some manner, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah. So that's been interesting. And tell us, you won a lot of awards. So, and that's of course come in the recent year. But any obstacles or any failures you'd like to talk about? Uh, in your journey, because we always learn from our failures or obstacles, make us stronger. So, any specific
Hundred,
incident?
100%. I mean, there are always failures, and I think I always say that, don't brood over your past. If try to correct your mistakes in the present so that your future can be better than the present. So, I mean, there have been many challenges and many failures. Um, Initially, when I started the brand, because it was a personal project, never a brand, and we started from a show, we never got the chance to build that foundation. So I think that's something, if I have to go back, I think I'd like to put in more time there because it was almost like I was standing one day and then I did a show, and the third day I was at Ogan, and all of a sudden there was this burden, there was so much work, everything was being thrown at me. So I definitely feel a little bit of more organization would have definitely helped me to not change so many things, because what happens when you start a new business is that if everything is set from the beginning, the workflow becomes easier. But when you're trying to change it in 3 months and 4 months, then you're trying to add and edit, and you're moving things around. So I think
Yeah.
that for me, I wouldn't call it a failure. I would call it a challenge.
Yeah. And talking about challenges when you're working with CGI technology, I mean, how good is it, or do you also face challenges, while working with that, or is it better to work with real models versus CGI? So, if you could throw some light on that.
I mean, honestly, they both go hand in hand. For me, digital has always been something that does not take over, but will enhance each other, and a balance has to be created between the two so that your offline models can eventually get more efficient because we are all designers that are selling tangible goods. So
Yes.
one has to be mindful of that, even in terms of communication. Yes, you will use CGI, but at some point, that real touch and feel has to come in,
Yeah.
because it can't purely be a digital brand because we are not just selling design files, we're selling products. And for me, when I started this project, it was, before I started working on it, you think digital is limitless, right? But honestly, in my case, I wouldn't say it's completely limitless. I'll give you an example of a challenge that I faced during prepping for the collection. So I had no idea that hair is a super tricky thing in 3D. And our main USP of our brand, if you've noticed, is the hair band. We do a lot of
Yes.
hair accessories. So it's a very important aspect of the brand. But as we started moving into it, we realized from various partners in the digital space, whether it's Helsinki Fashion Week, whether it's Adiraj, whether it's Palash, who did our virtual campaign, they all said that no, 3D in hair is really complicated. We won't be able to do the bun because the hair is tricky to give it that finesse and that crisp look. So we actually had to get it out of the collection. It's the first collection I've done in a show that does not have one of the products that I sell the most. So that was definitely upsetting and unusual. The other challenge I felt with CGI was, again, I think that comes with learning more as well. The more we
Yeah.
learn, and with the way technology is changing, I'm sure these hiccups will sort of
You'll be able
evolve,
to
and
overcome it.
we'll be able to. Yeah, I'm sure in the next 6 months you will see a bun on a digital avatar looking really good.
Yeah.
But for now, we couldn't. Also, when you look at Instagram filters, we chose to take our communication, so use the 3D model, but to pitch that into Instagram and create a filter out of it for people to even
Wow.
try it. So essentially, I thought, why not? Maybe this can work as a virtual fitting tool as well, because it's jewelry. But then, when we started working on, we realized the software only maps the face. It doesn't map the ears. So we
Yeah.
had to go back, then change the few pieces and see which ones work. So these are sort of
Some
different
of
sort of
the.
aspects. Some in terms of working on the project, but even otherwise, in terms of CGI, using CGI even for digital avatars. For example, we had a digital avatar that we created for the collection. And then, of course, with Adiraj, we had 3 Indian CGI models that represented India at the Helsinki Fashion Week, which, by the way, I thought was very exciting that we got to have some Indian representation on the model front there.
Yeah.
And what's interesting with the benefit is that they don't fall sick, right? They cannot have any injuries. You can keep them for as long as you want. And like I said, for the post-COVID world, it brings a very unique value proposition. Not to say it's going to replace it though, again.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing about CGI that I definitely notice but then again, with digital avatars, I think it's a dangerous area. If it falls in the hands of a wrong brand, what we do not want is attributing more to unrealistic ideals of beauty. And I feel like digital avatars is a space that can be easily done because you're creating their features, you're making them. So I think brands and creators, I really hope that they're mindful of what they're putting out there. Because
Yeah.
social media as is has had such an impact on everyone's mental health. I mean, we're talking about women here, and we've seen how these unrealistic or beauty ideals are advertised. We definitely don't want to take that forward now in the digital world as well, according to me.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of like artisanal jewelry like yours, handmade products, artisans. So please tell us how technology can play a larger role in the fashion and the design industry. What do you see, especially post-pandemic?
So if I'm looking at it, if you're specifically talking about artisans, again, I'm going to go back to my previous statement that they both have to work together, and we have to create this ecosystem for the artisans where we can empower them to use that technology. So
Sure.
whichever crafts communities designers are working with, try to get them to use WhatsApp, try to get them to use Instagram. The more that they know, they'll be able to upload that. Also, in terms of using technology to show the creative process of creating these handmade products will also impact how viewers look at it and will think, because if you look at it, Indian handmade has always been that space where people think they can bargain.
Yeah.
If you've noticed, you know, whether it's brands or whether it's individual consumers buying at the flea market. So I think that process needs to really be put out there, and I think technology is great for that. And I think Crafts Futures by British Council, and I think it's a great initiative that they've taken up to create this ecosystem. So I think that's quite exciting, where
Yeah.
technology comes in with artisans to help enhance it. But designers have to be equally a part of it for this
Yeah.
to really have a fruitful and an innovative outcome.
And do you see a change in adaptation of technology in India versus internationally, like globally, or you think like we are also at par with the rest of the world?
I mean, I don't know about at par yet because, for example, I mean, these are things that I'm also learning about digital. So I don't think I can make an exact statement on that. But what I'd like to say is for Helsinki Fashion Week, for example, they had a digital village that has been created where you can, they gave us a digital village platform where through the use of blockchain technology, you can sell your design file. Now, all this sounds really far-fetched right now, I'm sure, to everyone. So, and also other apps, for example, where you can have your own avatars and you can have these 3D models that you can wear, you know? So I think that's something that's not here yet. I think this idea of embracing technology on for the viewers, where they're interacting with it to the point where they're buying these characters or creating these characters and then dressing them up and then have an Instagram profile for these digital influencers, that's also them. So I think
Yeah.
that's not happened yet. But in terms of manufacturing, of course, I mean there's so much that's going on in terms of the rise in technology in manufacturing methods, specifically whether it's using technology to get recycling, regeneration of biomaterials. I mean, there are immense opportunities, and I think now in India you see it getting picked up more and more.
Sure. And you've also been teaching in many institutes. So tell us about your teaching experience, like mentoring students and,
So I started teaching when I came back from Italy. It was just something that I started as, again, like as a visiting faculty. I started with, I'll do one session, two sessions. It went on to semesters. So I was teaching at Whistling Woods. We've done sessions at NIFT, at Fab International. So it's been it's interesting. I love working with students, and it's great because you can bounce off ideas. I still get messages from students if they have any projects. The other day, I had a message from a student asking me to fill out a survey that they were doing on a particular subject, a new business idea that they were working on. So it's interactive. I mean this is your think tank, right? Students are. It's great to kind of work with them because you learn from them, they learn from you.
yeah. And so, who has been your inspiration while you were growing up? And did you always know that you wanted to be a designer?
I mean, when I'm going to tell you when I was a child, right? This is when I was a kid, and when I really decided that I decided in fourth grade I wanted to work in fashion, actually.
Wow.
And it came, and that comes from the same person. It's actually my cousin Sangeeta, and I remember it was. I'm from Kuwait, born and raised there. During the Kuwait invasion, my dad was actually there, and we were all in India. We didn't have a home here, so I lived at my Masi's house. So it's my Masi's daughter used to do her. She was studying fashion design, and I would see her and think that she's this really cool person, independent, strong, and more importantly, really authentic, true to herself. I really admire that. Those are the qualities that really stuck with me. You know, that honesty, and in your artwork, if you bring in that authenticity, I think that's admiring.
Wow. And so tell us, like post COVID, we've seen it's the era of collaborations, and it is going to be more and more collaboration. So please throw some light on that.
Our brand, like I said, started from a collaboration. We have been all for it. I think amalgamating people from different industries, whether it's with a digital artist or even working with a mechanical engineer. How fun would it be for a jewelry designer and a mechanical engineer to work to bring about a completely unique, innovative proposal that's also functional? It's when you bring in more minds and more creative minds from different industries, you have the opportunity to innovate because you're both bringing your own expertise into it. So I think collaborations are always a way to go. For us, it's been there and it's always going to be there.
And in your industry, does it make sense to first have work experience before launching their own label, or just after the professional course, one can launch their own label? Any thoughts on that?
Definitely need to work. Definitely we need to work. We all, like for me, my jewelry brand started very organically, but before that, of course, I was working in fashion for many years before the brand happened. It's extremely important to do internships and learn not just about something that you're interested in, but put yourself in different departments of the company. I always tell all my students when you're going for an internship, if you've gone in as a designer, work in marketing, tell your bosses or tell the head designer that, look, I've come in, but I want to learn a bit of everything. So you get an overall understanding because when you're young, you're also a little confused. It helps you realize what you're good at, what your weaknesses are, what you got to build on as well.
Yeah. And tell us a bit about work-life balance. I know you're married, and so how do you manage a career which is demanding as well as like the home front?
I mean, this year it's been actually, I've been at home most of the time. So it's been, uh, I mean, over here it's been tricky just at home because you're working at some point, my dog is jumping up and down and all of that. But before, life was, I have to say, really stressful. In a way, the pandemic helped me slow down. In January, I took 10 flights in a month. So that's a lot. That's almost flying every 2, 3 days. So
Yeah.
I think it's important to maintain that balance. And for me, it comes from I'm an early riser. So whether it's meditating in the morning, some form of exercise, I think these two things I definitely
Yeah.
keep in my daily routine. And if I don't do it, I tend to feel, especially right now, where there's so much going on and there's so much anxiety. It kind of keeps your mental stability in check. I feel just a little bit of exercise
Yeah.
and
That's
you
very
know
important.
some self cleansing, and it's important.
Yeah. No, I've started playing lawn tennis. I used to play when I was in school, but I just
Okay,
picked up last couple of months. And it's important to keep yourself at least some form of
definitely,
exercise, especially when we're all
definitely.
working from home.
Definitely. I'm quite shy otherwise. So earlier I used to never, this is one yoga class I really wanted to attend. It always had some 30, 40 people. I never walked in. Now it's online. I've been doing Ashtanga yoga for the last month and a half. So, it kind of helps you practice. And now I'm comfortable to go out. And of course, it's not possible, but exercise is extremely important.
So, our last message for our viewers, a winning message for our audience, for our women audience, which would inspire them.
I think what stuck with me really is this quote by Daji from Heartfulness Meditation. It's a practice that I follow. It is, you are the experiment, you are the experimenter, and you are the outcome. It's a deep one, but if you think about it, it makes sense because, eventually it's
Yeah,
you who decides everything. It's about
everything.
what you say, what you think, how you perceive life, how you perceive failures, to pick yourself up and restart.
Wow, that's a nice one. That's a deep one,
Thank
as we
you.
say.
It is.
Ro-
It really stuck with me.
Roma, thank you so much for taking out the time for joining us at the Women Inspiring Network. It's been a great journey. And for all our viewers out there, please do log on to us if you would like to share any stories. We also have some mental health and other generic stories on sustainability going on. We'd love to hear from all of you. And Roma, thank you once again for joining us and look forward to having you on our platform once again. Thank you.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me. This was really lots of fun. Bye.
Yes. Bye bye.
Bye.